but we're here with Anthony Nucci. I'm going to refer to you as Nucci for the next hour. And I've been super, super impressed by just following your content, what you're about, your mission, how you inspire, how you live your life. I connect with it and I love your vibe. A little bit about you, $100+ million worth of deals. You're a top real estate agent. And I like to say this from my experience. You really grow up once you hit that $100 million threshold in deals. When you transact $100 million worth of deals, you see the smooth deals and then you see the deals that go sideways. You get through challenges, you go through the ups and the downs of deals, but the fact that you're able to execute on $100 million worth of transactions, it says a lot about you and your willpower and your ability to really, shine and to succeed in this business. In addition to that, you are a top real estate coach and you coach, hundreds of students on how to be top performers for their own teams and their own individual markets. Mm-hmm. Really impressive resume, really impressive background. But my first question that I have for you is, where was that first instance or that first urge of success? Like, where did that come from? Was it a big house that you saw? Was it someone in the family? Was it a friend's friend who had a parent that just hit it big that you admired? Or were you born with this urge to succeed? Where does it come from?
So one, I have to say thank you for all the kind words. Quite the introduction. Two, likewise, you're an inspiration. I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love how you operate, the mindset and everything and what you've been able to accomplish. And your story is incredible. So I have to share that.
Thank you,
the long answer to your question, I'm going to try and make it as short as possible. I come from a family who's done fairly well. My grandpa was very successful and is successful, but everyone in the family has to go by what he says, and he's the emperor. He's in control of everything, and I don't like that control thing. We have a family business. I've been around development and construction and a golf course, hospitality. So I got to learn. Fortunately, I got to learn a little bit about how we run weddings, how we serve people when they hit the turn and they get their hot dog and they get their food or whatever. I used to work the pro shop. I used to do everything when I was 16, 18 years old, but I had no work ethic. I was waking up at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, literally, go to the gym, go to Chipotle, come home, play Xbox for 3 hours. And then I would invite 10 of my friends over to play poker until 3 or 4 in the morning. My parents were split, so my mom was like, well, what am I going to do? If I call him grandpa, it's World War III. That's the 911 at my house. So I was that's how I grew up. My grandpa's dude, you're going to be a fucking loser. You better figure it out. What are you going to do when you get married and you're 26, 27 years old? Are you going to bring your wife over here and ask me to buy you a ring? You got to grow up. And he said that to me, but in a way different demeanor. And it just made me so upset because my grandpa's my idol. He was my father figure too. So I'm all right, I'm not letting grandpa down. And I also want to be grandpa. I want everyone to come to me and be hey, my cousin. I want to work with you. I want to work with you. He's texting me every day when he used to give me shit about it 3 years ago. So that was and I come from that background that my life was I kind of got what I wanted and I had a certain level of living just because of how I was raised. And I'm keeping that. And if grandpa ain't going to give it to me, I don't want it handed to me. I'm going to go get it myself.
So was there one instance that grandpa said, you got to get your shit together? Or was it various instances where he said, hey, you got potential, but you got to get your act together? Was it one moment that said, I got to wake up and figure out my life? Or did it progressively happen over time until you just felt it all at once and it compounded to this extreme effect and created the guy you are today?
I think the compound, because I remember when I was young and immature, I would be oh, I am lazy, I am a loser, I don't really care. But I'm I don't care. My family's gonna take care of me. It's fine. I don't care. When I'm as I got older, I'm dude, how do you not care that is your image?
Yeah.
And then when I used to do blue collar work for my grandpa at our construction sites, I would sweep out the basements, I'd put hay in the basements, I would help the bricklayers. I hated that. I was driving the bulldozer and shit. And then the guy, his name was Bob the builder. He's dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care how much money your family has. I don't care if they're billionaires. You need to be a man and you need to be independent. And like this little gimmick bullshit, you being on Snapchat all day messing around, you're not going to make money with your phone. He said that to me too.
Wow.
But he also played a pivotal role in like maturing me too. He's like, don't you want to be a man? Like, don't you want to be? And I'm like, he said this to me. This one hit me. He's like, when you go to the grave and you look at a tombstone, the year you were born and the year you died, that dash in the middle is what people are going to remember you as.
Oh
and
my
I'm like,
goodness.
I'm not going to be. He goes, do you want to be known as
goodness.
Tony's grandson? Just Tony's grandson. He was a nice kid. He was a spoiled little brat, nice kid. And I'm like, fuck no.
You know, my favorite quote is, "Will you be remembered forever?"
Yeah, you said that the other day.
And that dash is everything.
Yeah.
And it's why we're here. It's why we have this
100%.
mission to impact. It's why we're on this mission to do something big with our lives. What else about Grandpa? I mean, this guy had a huge role in who you are today.
Yeah.
You know, he was aware enough to say, hey, you got something special, but you got to get your act together. Because most grandparents or most parents don't have the strength to do that. They almost said, man, I dealt with the struggle. I dealt with the difficult conversations, experiences. I had a rough, tough life, but I made it because I was able to will myself through. It seems like he had the awareness to say, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Like, you actually have to get your shit together if you want to be someone.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that helped shape you who you are, specifically from your grandpa, who was a big part of your life growing up?
I would say that. And then I was just like a troublemaker in high school and school in general. I had like piss poor grades. I had like a 1.8, 2.0 GPA. Everybody in school, like their parents would be like, you're not hanging around Anthony. So that, all the other compounding effects, and then I was like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to figure this out. And I just started binge watching Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, anybody of success, Ed Milet, all those guys. That's all I would watch. So when people make fun of me all the time, my team members are like, did you see that movie? Did you see that game the other day? I'm like, dude, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
I just found out who Billy Joel is yesterday. I don't know.
You know what's really interesting about that, and I know you put something out the other day about sports and the teams, and you know Tom Brady, but you don't know like how many years he played.
You know the greats.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly. Well, you know the greats. There's no doubt. There is this like, you know, concept of educating yourself, and a lot of people will ask people like us, you know, what do you read? You know, what's on your shelf? And my quick response to that is, you know, I don't read a lot of books unless they're self-help or they're mindset related. Yep. But what I do is I spend a lot of time studying people. Oh, dude, yeah. To the point that not just, hey, I want to know your story, but I'm also studying your mannerisms, the way that you communicate, the way you treat people, the way you look at people, you know, deep dive into studying people that are successful. So you touch on that, and let's speak about that for a second.
Yeah.
You know,
it's my favorite thing to do.
It's super crucial, and a lot of people will focus on going behind the scenes and they'll consume content when it's right in front of you. People, like, I'll look at your content and I'll learn from you, and that's what I actually love about social. There's good and the bad. If you focus on the good, every single person that I follow is someone of success.
100%.
And it's someone that has a presence.
You create your algorithm.
Completely.
You create your algorithm.
Completely.
And I think that, like, you just said it, content is key. 5% of us are creating, right? 95% are consuming. The new normal in today's society is you're working, squirrel. What are the rest of the people in the world doing? It's just so like for me, if I'm going to go look at what other people are doing, I'm going to follow you and be like, oh, Shane just closed on a $50 million deal. This guy just bought a Ferrari. This guy's talking about how he defers taxes and puts it into shell companies. This guy's talking about how to be a better boyfriend, a better son, a better guy. Here's how to like practice overcoming objections. Like that's what I consume in those 15-minute increments when I go on and jet back to social media and going through the loophole of Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Don't have Snapchat. And nobody should have Snapchat over the age of 25. But so I'm like, dude, why are you guys not on there? And then when I look, I've watched I could probably tell you I've watched every Grant Cardone video ever. To the point where I know every one of his speeches, every time he's going to bring an analogy up, I know what he's going to say. Every one of those guys, to the point where I'm like, okay, I've extrapolated everything from Shane, Grant. Let me put my spin on it and be me.
If you have something negative to say about Grant, I promise you it's because there's a little part of you that's envious on the impact that he's made.
Sure.
The dude in his late 50s said, I'm going to create something for myself and I'm going to become a global brand. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to pick up and full steam ahead.
Yeah.
To the point, I remember 5 years ago, this was pre-COVID, maybe 2019. I remember getting every single day, I would get a sponsored ad from Grant Cardone and it would hit my feed. And it was this guy, older looking dude, gray hair,
the jet?
No jet. It was just him like on stage. It was little clips of him.
Yeah.
He wasn't as like braggadocious at that point. That really did fuel him, over the past few years. And as it pertains to content, if you're flashy, people are going to follow that. And how did you make it? How did you buy the jet? How do you have all these cars? How do you have the mega mansion on the ocean? If you want to share those things, you'll bring the followers. But what really attracted to me early on was I said, this guy, every single day for 5 months, I scroll past him. But the difference between him and every single one of the other people that I'm following is every single day I see a clip of him. His ability to brand, his ability to create attention in the marketplace is phenomenal. And by the way, this was not a friend or a follow that I said, hey, this is on my news feed. This was a sponsored ad. He was investing to get my attention. And I said, this guy's got something that so many people aren't want to invest, but they also don't have the energy and the power to promote themselves as frequent as this guy does. And that to me is the differentiator.
Huge.
A lot of the big players that are successful in business that also have an online presence, they know the importance of social and the power of it because of the ability to create attention and awareness.
Look at Andy Elliott. In 3 or 4 years, he's created a $150 million a year business. You cannot sell $150 million worth of cars in your lifetime as a salesperson. I mean, maybe. If you create like the craziest business ever.
Such a great point on accelerated growth.
Yeah, it's infinitely scalable. It's free. That's why I yell at people. I'm like, you don't want to get on camera because you have imposter syndrome, for one, which I get. We all go through it. It's a little awkward. It's weird. 2, you care what somebody on the street's going to say about you who doesn't pay your bills, doesn't sleep with you, doesn't live with you, doesn't care about you. You don't know who they are. You'll never see them again. Maybe you will. It doesn't matter. And if you just used it, you get to reach out to 500, 1,000, 10,000 people in a span of a day or a week for free. If one of those convert, when we're talking about the sale of a home, which is the largest commission-based job you can do or find, that's not worth taking 30 seconds. Hey, my name's Shane Decker. I covered this area. And
I think this is why. I think that rewind even as short as 10 years ago, rewind 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the corporation, Pepsi, Coke, Super Bowl, halftime show, ads at the movie theater, these big companies on the billboards, in commercials, those were the ones in charge. Those big Fortune 1000 companies were making the most money, bringing in the most revenue because they created the most attention. If you go to any supermarket and you recognize some of the brands and you don't recognize some of the other brands, it's because those brands for years have been pumping marketing and branding. And the other ones are just unaware. So those guys, they're investing in their brand and people are buying their product because they're aware of it and they've created the attention. Rewind 20 years ago, the corporation had the power. Today, the individual has the power through social, through the networks. So and I want to use this as a little platform to inspire anyone that has a dream or a vision to create something for their lives that is not comfortable putting out content. Guys, you are your own business. Even if you're working for someone, even if you're working for a company and you're an entrepreneur, even if you're an employee, your life is fascinating. Create your brand, create your life, and blow yourself up. What do you have to say about that?
I was going to say, my whole life would be totally different if I didn't do cold calls, cold approach, or make content. You found me and noticed me at a networking event that I went to with her. You said something to me about you seeing me on social when I was like at probably 20K followers. And when I met her, which was 9, 10 months ago, I had 18,000 maybe. Now I almost have 75 just on Instagram alone. I'm able to get in the door with Neil from Timepiece Trading, some of the biggest agents, Dina Golden-Taylor, Alex Goldstein, all these guys follow me and I have their attention. And I don't have their sales. Yeah, they're also 20 years older than me, but they see the work ethic. It's undeniable. The constant branding. Like you say, you wouldn't trust me if I didn't post every day. You'd be like, I don't know. If he wasn't consistent as he is every day.
Yeah.
And I learned that from Cardone. It's like be obsessed or be average rule. Email the people that, well, Grant, they just unsubscribed. Good. Keep emailing them. Keep blasting them. They're going to unfollow anyway, or they're going to work with you. So either have that strong divide where they're going to really ride or die with you, or they're going to push away. Hey guys, we're on the SMS campaign. We just had 20 people unsubscribe. Great. Get it to 40. That's how Grant thinks. Double the unsubscribe rate, because you're going to double the intensity of the people that you're attracting to you as well.
It's so interesting that you say that, because I studied Grant really deep on how he was able to hit people and how he's able to grow. I mean, he's also in real estate. So I was inspired because he's buying, $50, $100, $200 million deals. And anyone that's doing deals, in that size range, I'm going to follow. And I'm going to study you. Where's your capital coming from? What are your debt partners? How are you structuring deals?
Non-accredited investors from Instagram.
Right. But it works, and if you are a good operator, capital is always going to be one of the most crucial, if not the most crucial part of executing and closing on commercial deals or any deals in general.
100%.
Where your vehicle is, where your capital vehicle is and where it comes from, that is up to you to decide. Some people say, I want to create a fund. Some people say, I don't like the fund because I'm stuck on 10 boxes and I can't go outside of the path of the fund. So if I'm an industrial fund, I can't do multifamily. But what if I see a great apartment complex? I got to be and stick to the fiduciary of my investors and stick to my fund. So people say, I don't like the fund.
How do you operate it?
We have two different vehicles. We have a private syndication and we have a GP fund where we have institutional investors.
But you're not limited to a specific category or asset class.
The reason why I like the nimbleness of our structure is because we can go out and buy a 10-acre piece of dirt, go in,
construct the building.
Build a building, which we haven't done. And I am a little on the fence on development right now just because of construction costs. But some of the biggest players and some of the biggest money is to be made, there's no doubt, in development. So is that in the future? Is that in my cards? 100%. I want to get involved in development badly. But right now, I like buying an existing structure that has a little deficiency. I go in, I fill in that gap. We renovate the park, boost that net, and we're off to the races. And I could monitor the deal on a day-to-day basis. With development, you're projecting 2 to 3 years down the line. You're also hopeful that the city, the county, the municipality agree to your project. So you're hedging and you're betting, which I'm all for.
Right.
But right now, the less risky approach is to buying cash flowing assets with juice at scale. And that's what's been successful.
And value adding them.
Completely.
So you won't, at this point, probably not, right? Because you're not where you want to be yet. But when you get to that point, I don't know what the number is, 100 million square feet, and you're sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars, then you're going to go buy Class A property just to park the cash.
There's no doubt. Because there's that typical family office approach. If
I was
sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars right now,
there's no need to risk it.
What I would do, because there's a bid-ask gap still in the market right now where there's price expectations on the seller side and the buyer expectation, there is that bid-ask gap and it's still there and it's narrowing over the course of quarter after quarter, especially rates dropped a little, deals are transacting more. If I was sitting on $300 million worth of cash right now and I could do lower leverage deals, 40, 50%, I would go out and buy all of the Class A office buildings across America and major office buildings at 40, 50 cents on the dollar and park my money there and just bank them. You're in the heart of a major city. You're buying them at a deep discount. They're cash flowing. So you could buy 8, 9, 10 cap deals today in high street, high story office buildings. Now, what's the difference? The difference is the risk profile for the lender has shifted dramatically over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So the lender looks at office and says, I don't like it. What happens if another COVID comes? It's only risky if you're over levered. So if you can parlay the risk and put just 40 to 50% down with your cash, have a bank fund 50% and go 50% loan to value, and you're buying an 8, 9, 10 cap on your deal with opportunity on a deal that's 70% occupied and you have 30% of vacancy, you're in the money. Now, it's risky, but if I was sitting on tons of money, I would bet on that play.
You know what's funny? I just want to interrupt. If I was like younger watching this, it would bother me so much to not understand the lingo of what you're saying.
Yeah.
And understanding that you I don't know if you take it for granted or not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, because it's your new normal. But like that right there, if I was behind this, watching us, and I'm like, wait, occupancy, LTV, 50% debt. What is he talking about? Juice, value add. What the hell does this mean? My cousin who works for Blackstone, who is a nut. Like, he is the most brilliant guy I've ever met in my life. He made money and everything.
For those who don't know Blackstone, and if you don't know Blackstone, you're literally living under a rock. Blackstone is the largest owner of real estate across the globe.
Yeah.
So if you
and BlackRock too.
They're the largest asset manager on the planet.
Yeah.
So BlackRock.
He worked for BlackRock and then Blackstone poached him.
Not surprised.
And State Street, what is it? The Patrick McDavid stat that he put out, State Street and Blackstone and BlackRock are like, though they own 2/3 or more of every Fortune 500 company, which is trillions.
That's where we should go. That's where we should take our lives. We should build the next Blackstone. We should build the next BlackRock. Every person, trillions. You know, Elon Musk, they're saying that he's going to be the first trillionaire over the next 10 years.
He's going to be multi-trillionaire. He's not normal. There's something wrong with him.
There is.
He's not a normal billionaire.
He's clearly an alien. We all know it.
No, he is.
He's an alien.
How do you create multi-billion-dollar companies in totally different categories?
But multiple.
Like PayPal, X,
it's
Tesla.
Yeah.
At Twitter.
And then also SpaceX. One thing.
ChatGPT he's involved in, I think. Insane. The Neuralink, the tunnels.
Insane. That's where I got all my questions from ChatGPT that I'm asking right now.
No, dude. No. I told her earlier, I don't have to I'm planning a webinar. Write me out how my next 2 weeks should look like strategy-wise.
Insane.
Post this, email this on day 1, day 4, day 7. Post this the other day. Go live twice a week. Post it on every single one of the platforms. Create a call to action. Create an urgency play the day of. Put stickers and timed countdowns. I'm like, dude, I've never.
Yeah. Coleman, how often are you on ChatGPT?
Yeah. Oh, I have the 5.0, whatever the hell it is. I don't even. Shayna's mad at me. I haven't spent time with her. How do I make up for it? Plan a romantic dinner based off, and it knows her already. It's programmed because you teach it. It knows me. It knows her. It knows my Instagram. It's insane.
You just said that ChatGPT knows Shayna more than you know Shayna, which is incredible.
Yes.
So this piece of technology is helping your relationship.
I don't actually use it that much, but yeah, for that, no. She would know.
Only when you're going through just a little issue, you know?
Yeah, I'm usually a good boy.
Yeah. Hopefully the next little fight won't be for another few days, you know? I want to take us back.
Yes, please. Sorry, I took you off a tangent there.
No. What I'm curious about is, because you mentioned something that was interesting to me, and I'm curious on what type of impact this had in your life at an earlier, call it 15, 17, 19-year-old. Because how old are you right now?
I'm 28.
So you're 28 right now. So I was going to say, when you were a young cat, you are a young cat right now, but when you're in your teens.
Yeah.
Because the education system is very interesting, where if you don't excel and you're not a 4.0 student and you're not involved in extracurriculars and you're not a excellent student across the board, then the next step is college. They're going to look at you and really assess who you were as a student. Now, there's lots of students that do poorly in school that are mega successes because their brain just thought a little differently. But there's also some people that had low GPAs. Maybe they were, more focused on sports and like their social life. They had low GPAs, but the fact that they couldn't do well in school made them and created this perception that they weren't intelligent. So
Yeah.
I'm curious on what was your mindset as a teenager? For all the teenagers that are listening right now that are not doing so well in school, what would you say to them? Does their grades have anything to do with their intelligence? Talk to us about how you dealt with not being a straight A student in high school.
That's actually, I've never been asked that question, so I'm going to give the best advice that I can. I was taught, and you're taught, that having ADHD and being scatterbrained and not being able to sit still and having high energy is bad, right? But if you hone that energy into things that you actually are passionate about, that you enjoy, and it's for financial gain, you can explode. Like, I don't care about math. I don't care about, I mean, there's certain things in history that I care about, but most of the things I don't. So, but when I got out of high school, I was like, okay, I have all this energy. I'm like a crackhead, right? Like, how can I just hone in on, I learned this from Cardone, like, I have ADHD, but that's a good thing. Let me hone this in on learning, because I'll have the energy to outwork everybody else. I'll outstudy everybody else. But in school, I couldn't take a test. I had terrible test taking skills. I failed my real estate exam 7 times, Shane. 7. I was cheating on every test. I was just like, it wasn't interesting to me, and I was lost. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I've always been a little positive. I mean, even before I developed a great mindset, I was like, it's gonna work out. Like, it's gonna work out. You don't have to have all the answers now. I questioned my life at 25 years old. In 3-4 years into my career, tens of millions in sales, I started doing the coaching thing, and then it started shifting. My time was being spent more here, and then I was losing from there, and then I walked away from a 6-figure business in Michigan. Like, I built it up. I knew everybody. My grandpa, my family knew everybody. Any door I wanted open was open, but I ran away from that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's too comfortable for me. But yeah, you're not gonna have all the answers when you're 16, 17 years old. I would say enjoy your life, live your life, do all the things that you're not supposed to do. Within reason, have fun, like be that high school idiot, get it out of your system.
I think the point I was trying to get at was your grades in high school and college do not have any determining factor on your ability to succeed.
Absolutely not.
To lead,
No.
Because there's some people that are successful, but they're not financially successful, but they're a leader, they're contributing, and they weren't great students. And there's people that, to them, financial abundance, financial freedom, building wealth is super important.
Yep.
And we're here to say that regardless of your childhood, even if you were a troublemaker, even if you were a bad student, even if you were a pain in the ass, and that kid in high school, you can still be a mega success,
100%.
a mega hit. And it's how you show up on a daily basis. So let's fast forward. Here you are. You're one of the top coaches in really America, building a platform and training students how to be successful real estate agents, get more listings, produce more, create more volume, polish their cold calling, polish their outreach. So give us some nuggets. I'm one of your students right now, and I just can't catch a break. I'm motivated. I got the work ethic. I'm 1.5 years deep into this deal, and I'm calling expireds, and I'm hitting the phones 3-4 hours a day. Nothing is landing. What is it? What's the block that they're experiencing?
Well, number one, I would have to actually analyze how many hours a day you're working, right, to make sure you're being consistent, because everybody says that they do the things, just like people that say they work out, but you look at them and like, I don't think you actually work out, or you don't take it seriously, right?
Yeah.
So let's see how many hours a day you're working.
Or you don't work out the right way.
Or you don't work out the right way, which is you're having injury, preventing growth, you're staying in the same place. This is why I believe in coaching so much, because everything I've learned has come from everybody else, right? Because why would I want to take 20 years to learn something? It comes from experience and trial and error. If you already went through 20 years of being a real estate agent, give me it.
Completely.
And then I'm going to take it from everybody else. But then I would also go back and say, how many times do you practice your script? Do you have a script? Do you role play before you cold call? Do you work out the script muscles in your head of what you're going to say, your objection handlers? And do you ever self-analyze and watch film on yourself? Every one of my real estate team members, not my coaching business, all of my team members this week said they weren't happy with where they were at. So I said, all right, you guys are going to all cold call 2 hours a day, every day this week. You're going to record it. You're going to timestamp the parts where you got stumped or where you won. because I want to study where you did good. I want to study where you did bad, and then we're going to self-analyze and we're going to fix it. We're going to critique it. So that's number one. And then I would also ask what the mindset is and how you operate on a day-to-day. Like, if you get rejected, does that shift your whole mood, and do you carry that energy and that negative thought into the next call and take it out on? If he gave me a bad attitude, and then I'd call you with a bad, like, you know what, my ego gets in the way.
Yeah.
That's probably another reason why too. But there's multiple phases to it. That's why I always get so on the, like, real estate agents don't. Everybody, when you start, you don't know what you don't know. There's a whole pool of things that you don't know. Then you start to know a little bit about what you should be doing, and then the question is, how long are you going to be consistent enough for you to see results? If I told you to eat chicken and rice every day and you did it for a week, you're not going to see any change, zero change. So if you do it for 3-4 months, we're going to do it long enough for it not to work or for it to work, and then we will adjust. And then step 3 is, this is where you start making money, and then you're following the plan, but then there's, okay, let's get good on the phone. Let's get good at the phone and be good at the schedule consistently. Let's be good at getting meetings. Oh, by the way, now we have to prepare for going on the actual meetings, presenting ourselves at the meeting, handling the client, managing expectations, but you guys have all the answers. That's why I say to them, like, okay, no. Some kids say, well, we get enough free value from you online. You guys are getting dessert. Maybe you're getting an appetizer.
Right.
Maybe one little shrimp cocktail from Hillstone. You're not getting the burger, right? Not getting the fries, not getting dessert. You're getting a trailer of a movie.
There's one thing that comes to mind, like, through this conversation, and I'm thinking, there was a deal that I sold last year. We bought it for 8. We flipped it for 12.5. We sold it in 18 months. It was a quick flip. Our anticipated hold period for that deal was 5 years. And I was thinking to myself, after we sold the deal and after the transaction was completed, there was a broker involved that cold called me. He reached out to me completely cold. It was not on the market. It was 8 buildings in Oakland Park on 12th Ave. It was just east of 95, great industrial pocket, great real estate. And our 5-year estimated value of the site was about 13.5. So I thought to myself, if we estimated the value push and the value creation to be 13.5, 5 years down the line, 60 months of ownership, what if I could achieve 12.5 in 18 months of ownership? That skew and that IRR push is going to be drastic. So I know I could basically bring this to the partnership, and I think we should sell this deal. The broker called me completely cold. He reached out to me and he said...
Buyer's broker?
No, it's the buyer's broker. The buyer's broker reached out to me completely cold. There was a broker involved. He said, are you interested in selling anything in your portfolio? And I said, well, there's a deal in Oakland Park, and if I could get $12.5 million, like, I would consider it. And he got that out of me. And he said, let me get to work. So he ended up procuring a buyer, brought me a buyer, excellent buyer. We ended up closing the deal. Now, it took me 6 months to say yes to this guy. He called me once a week for 6 months. Hey, I can get you 12.5. I can get you 12.5. I can get you 12.5. And I said, I'm not interested. I want to hold this thing. It's producing some really nice cash flow. It's a winner. It's an earner. We bought it great. We got great debt on it. We got a 5-year debt piece on it. Like, great cash flow. It's producing a nice dividend. The investors are thrilled with the deal. And he was like, this is an incredible opportunity. We're right now in the market. And my point is, he sold me with his confidence and his follow-up. So I was a no for 6 months until I said yes. And there's a lot of people that get no's for 2-3 months, give up on that lead.
Or once.
Yeah. The follow-up is so
80% of deals come from follow-up.
So crucial. Now, if someone reached out to me once a week for a year with a product, after a year, I'm going to buy the damn thing. This guy is so relentless. This girl is so relentless with her sales approach, her follow-up skills, and her confidence to hit me up every week for a full year until I close the deal. Whatever, take the 10 grand, take the asset, list it to the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So there is an energy transfer. There's another thing I want to mention about energy transfer, because you talked about, the skills and the confidence that it takes to be, a successful real estate agent.
Yep.
And there's something that I like to tell my team, and it's, business and money, it's purely an energy transfer. Yeah. And I don't know if we've talked about this, but there's the old bank account story where you're going to a seller, a potential seller, a prospect,
Yeah.
So you want to either buy the deal or you want to broker the deal. And if that seller, your potential client, hears a little bit of desperation in your voice, they're out.
Yeah.
Because you don't have
Commission breath.
You don't have, I love that, commission breath. You don't have the energy that they're looking for. You need to be a light. You can't be dimmed. You need to be a bright light. And so what I tell
100%.
people is, before you make a cold call, before you make calls, before you dial, you got to put yourself in a certain energy state that's powerful. And one way to do that is, there's many ways. You could listen to music, you could jump up and down, you could do some push-ups, you could get yourself motivated. But one other way to do it is to inspire yourself. If you close your eyes right now and you logged into your bank account, Chase, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, wherever, and you clicked on it and you have access to your checking account, it's the first thing that comes up right when you log into your app, and that checking account says $10 million. You're going to be like, whoa, I feel good. Like I feel protected. I feel protected. I feel safe.
Yep.
I feel confident.
Right.
I'm not stressed, eager. I don't have commission breath. All of the negativity gets wiped away because you're in that state of power, and people buy from power. People buy from
100%.
confidence. People buy from confidence. And that's why I think you have been so successful, not just with the coaching, but also selling huge real estate deals, is because you bring a certain level of energy and confidence, and people on the other line feel that. And people buy from confidence because they know a confident person will get the job done.
So I appreciate
where the hell does the confidence come from? Let's talk about that for a second.
Because I'm too determined. It's not going to stop. I will get what I want. That's it, period. Like, for example, the other day, I'm asking Dina Golden Tater to do a podcast with me. She gave me this much. If you give me this much and you come into my radar, I'm like an F-16 protecting the border. You cannot get out of the radar. You are on there forever. So she goes, I can't commit to this. Like, she said yes, and she said no. I go, no problem. No problem, Dina. You have no idea that I will get you to say yes through follow-up. You and I will be doing a podcast.
And we should actually clip this and send it to her.
No, I'm going to, because she was just messaging me yesterday, right?
This is how pumped and motivated we are to see your face on TV.
No, my whole team, even Shayna's like, I'm like, Shayna, Dina canceled. She's like, oh my God, baby. Like, I go, baby. She has no idea. She's going to be sitting down with me 2 months from now.
Yeah.
Tell me when somebody is like that confident, I don't need it today. I will get it. I don't need it today, though.
But that translates to everything in life. I'll give you an example.
Please.
If we lost out on a deal, or if we had a deal under contract and it didn't turn out to be a success because there were some issues. Let's say you're a broker and you're trying to broker a deal and you get the deal under contract. You're representing the buyer and you're thinking, shit, $2 million, I got 50 G's coming my way, let's roll. That's not the case. You got to close the deal before you count your money. You can't count your money before the deal gets closed.
100%.
Now, if you have a deal that does not close, you get it under contract, you're a broker, and the deal is a wash. The buyer that you're representing says, you know what? We're actually not going to move to Boca. We're going to stay put. We're going to stay up in Boston. We don't need to move anymore. I'm going to stay put. And you spent 3 months canvassing different neighborhoods. You found the perfect house for them, and they submitted a contract, and right before the money was going to go hard and roll into the close period, they said, you know what? We're actually going to stay in Boston. We're done with this. We're not going to close this deal. If your energy to that buyer is not totally get it, prioritize your life. I'm here for you. You have your responsibilities and your priorities. What I could tell you is that anything that you need in Florida, I'm here for you. Count for me, count me in. Many brokers, believe it or not, will say, how can you do that? How can you string me along? How can you do this? And by the way, it's okay for you as the broker to be excited, to say, got a great deal.
Yeah.
I'm working on a 2, working on a 5, working on a $10 million deal, repping the buyer. I feel good about this thing. Now, when that deal does not close, your energy shortly thereafter or the next day needs to be high energy. You can't say, almost had a $10 million deal. It should. It needs to be, got to get a 20, got to get a 30. I got to double down. I got to blow up.
No emotion.
Yeah, no
Less
emotion.
emotion. I learned that from her dad, actually,
emotion.
because when I was doing that deal in Eastern Shores for $2.8 million,
You're going to get that interview and stay pumped, stay positive.
100%.
It's that energy state.
Me and her dad are doing a podcast soon. I got to get him on. So he's like, yeah, just don't be emotional about it. Like, don't worry about it. So I'm in the middle of this deal. I've gotten this guy multiple offers. Eastern Shores is one of the most desirable communities in Florida. Single family, on the water, quiet, private. I got this guy an offer every month. His properties were 2.6. We had it at 3.2. We brought it down to 3. We brought it down to 2.9. Meanwhile, every time we get an offer, he goes and puts a property under contract as an apartment deal because he doesn't have like steady income, and his income is from buying real estate. So I would talk to this guy all the time, and then as we got closer to the contract ending with me, he kept telling me, no, I'm not taking that deal. I'm like, Peter, he's giving you asking price. Like, I'm not taking it. And I would sit there freaking out for a second. Then I'm like, no, I'm not going to get emotional about this. This deal's not going to change my life. This isn't going to be the reason that I'm stepping on stage giving a keynote 10 years from now. This deal's not going to change my life. It would be great. I would love the 50, 60 grand, but I'm going to do everything. Okay, keep going. Next day, Peter got another deal. Peter got another deal. It went to the point where he would start screaming at me, and then he tried to sue me. This is what happened in 3 weeks. He went from trying to fire me to offering me $10,000 to walk away from the deal because he had another buyer who, by the way, is one of my greatest investors now that I work with, who owns a lot of real estate over there.
Oh my gosh.
We closed the deal. I got him 150 grand over asking. 150 grand over asking. 2.8 million. He should have got 2.6 all day long. All day long. No thank you, no text, no nothing. We haven't spoken to each other, ever. He was one of the most difficult people I've ever dealt with. Had no respect.
And we closed the deal.
And we closed the deal.
Dude,
I almost walked away from it. She was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, he's not worth my time. And she's like, don't get emotional about it. Just do what you can. You have a month left.
Amazing.
So that's another thing I think that real estate agents or people that are trying to buy a deal, if you get too emotional, like you're gonna burn out.
That is, by the way, such an amazing story.
Not as good as your story.
No, but it's taking the emotions out of the deal. And we naturally are emotional, and we
Always.
naturally want to fall in love with the transaction and the deal, and we're thinking about it closing. And instead of focused on the outcome, let's focus on today, right now. What can I do right now to put myself in a position to win? And I tried to incorporate this in my life.
Yeah.
The outcome is out of my control, but what's in my control is the effort I put in every single day. And that's all I can control. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be a beast. I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna stay focused. I'm gonna stay determined. There's so many people that want your lunch, I have to block the noise and stay focused. And I can control what I can control, my output, the calls that I make, the people that I meet, the podcast that I do, putting myself in uncomfortable positions, putting myself in uncomfortable seats, and push, because I know if the energy is there and the effort is there and the work ethic is there, it's inevitable.
Well, that's where the confidence comes from. For you too, it's like you show up every day, you study harder than everybody, you make more calls than everybody else, you're more positive than everybody else. It's impossible to fail. The universe rewards hard work. I say that all the time. Like when I first moved here, I was saying to myself, dude, everybody's a real estate agent. Like, this is going to be tough. How am I going to compete with the Dina? How am I going to compete with the Goldstein? How am I going to compete
Even Nucci had that in his mind.
Yeah, I'm like, and then I flipped a switch in my head. I'm like, I don't give a fuck who any of these people are. They're no better than me. I will outwork all of them because they're growing. As they're growing, they're leaving their crumbs on the table. Their crumbs are $2 to $5 million deals. It's impossible. You want world-class service. I give world-class service. Even if I have a listing in Michigan, if somebody calls me, I make sure there's boots on the ground. There's somebody that I know and trust that I've worked with in the past that's there facilitating that transaction. And nobody can say they've ever had a bad experience with me in a real estate deal unless it was the other party because they got out-muscled. That's it. Like that to me, I was freaking out the other day because I'm not getting the amount of showings on a listing that I want for a $300,000 property. But it's the relationship to me. I don't want anyone to say anything bad about how they are. You can talk about me all you want on social media and say whatever the hell you want. I have one solitary fuck that I care about. But if you're a client of mine and you say you had a bad experience, that I care about.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I care about. So
the marketplace pays in direct proportion to the value that you bring.
Yeah, is that an Elon quote?
I don't know, but I like it. I don't know where it came from, but it's the truth.
Yeah, it is.
It's the truth, and that is something to share with everyone. It doesn't matter who's killing it. There's enough for everyone. 1. 2, don't worry about the competition.
Healthy.
You're your own competitor, and the marketplace buys value. And if you bring value to the marketplace, you're going to win. It could be a matter of time. It could take you a year, 2, 3, 4 before you really catch your stride.
Yeah.
Most people quit. Most people say, I'm going to be a real estate agent. 2 years come, they do 2 listings a year. They can't crack 40 grand, and they're going back to wherever they were.
Valet or bartender or whatever.
Of course, because it's difficult. You talked about this the other day on closing a deal is difficult.
Yeah.
Getting in shape is difficult. Eating healthy is difficult.
Yeah.
Being in a relationship is difficult. All of these things are so worth it, and that's why we do what we do. But let's talk about the difficult things. In order to do and get what you want out of life, you need to put yourself in a position of difficulty. And everything of importance requires a certain degree of difficulty. So on that point, let's talk about the fitness journey. You're
in way better shape than me.
It seems like every single day you're at the gym grinding. Do you?
Not today. Most of the time, yes. Sorry.
Do you do some push-ups? Take a cold shower?
I'm not done yet. We're not done today. I like to go in the morning, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So is that something that has been part of your life forever? Have you always been active, or
high school?
Over the past couple of years, did you incorporate weightlifting? And how has that changed your ability to show up? What is weight training and focus on your fitness and?
Definitely changes your whole aura and energy and confidence and everything, just the mental clarity that you get. Because in high school, I used to work out just because I was like scrawny and small and like wanted to be the one to get all the girls, the cheerleaders, baby. So, but then I wasn't really consistent with it as well as I wanted it to be. I mean, I was for like a year, and then I started working, and then I kind of let my work was unhealthy, like how much I was working, and like I wouldn't eat, and then if I did eat, it would be a burger or something, not good. But then, like, now, I don't even think about it. Just like I love when you get up, you go in the cold plunge. You just do it because you know that it's going to make you feel better. Like, that's it. I don't want to go. I fucking hate working out. I hate reading books. But I love the fact that, but I get to. Yeah. I'm healthy, thank God. I can work out. I get to go meet people when I'm there. It puts me, I've never left the gym in a worse mood than when I walked in.
No doubt.
Ever.
No doubt.
I've never left the gym with less energy than when I walked in there. Ever. It makes me feel crazy. I get stir crazy when I don't work out. Like right now I feel off and I'm like trying to figure out what it is. And it's because I didn't work out yet. Yeah. So how about you?
I mean, fitness is such a big part of my life,
Since high school, did you play sports?
I played sports, played basketball, played soccer, played baseball, just always like in a season or on a team. And to me, like sports was life.
Nice.
Got into college. It's funny, you mentioned when I walked in, shortstop for the New York Yankees with the glasses. The funny thing is my dad always thought I could go pro, and I was a shortstop.
Were you good though?
I was really, really good, but I also had an ego, and they put me to center field, and I was a shortstop. No. And they put me to center field, and I was in a senior in college, a senior in high school, and I said, this was like the start of the season, game 1 or 2, they said, you got a great arm, go to center field. And I was like, are you kidding? I'm the shortstop.
Yeah,
I'm the captain of this team.
Period.
And my dad was like, you can't quit. You can go pro. And we hung up, and I thought to myself, my dad is so delusional. There's no way I'm going to be in the MLB one day. But it's what I thought about when you came in. But sports has always been a part of my life. Working out, it's feel good. I want to be in a state of feeling good as much as possible throughout the day.
100%.
I have a question to you about your social media. Because I want people to learn from this.
Yeah.
One day comes and you say, I'm going to be aggressive on this machine. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna start putting out content. I know I have value to give. I'm a good communicator. I'm good looking. I'm in shape. I got swag. I'm gonna put out some content. So was it instant success? Was it an instant hit? Talk to us about your social journey, because right now you got some eyes on you. You got a ton of people checking out your life.
It's actually weird for you to say that, and it feels weird, but yeah, it's crazy.
Was it one clip? Was it a consistency thing that it eventually 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 40,000 followers? Tell us about that journey and be real with us on how you've gotten and created the platform and how you've become really a brand in Miami because you're well known. How have
a
you,
lot of the real estate agents know me. Honestly, I've gotten
how have you created that? Don't be humble.
Don't be humble. I've always been on social media, but it was for the bad reasons or non-productive or concrete reasons. I would just go on there and dance and talk and be annoying and whatever. And then I'm like,
I saw that Chris Brown dance move on the boat. I was like,
Yeah.
this, holy cow.
That
See,
was-
I could break dance?
no, that was terrible. I actually can dance a little bit, but that wasn't really me being
I'm messing.
But I was watching, just watching all these other gurus and talking about come up with an idea, stick to your plan, and that's it, period. So I would go through, and I teach this. I have like a little, it's called like the TAC R system. Like we got to test, you got to evaluate or analyze, critique, and then repeat. So like I would post every day. That was for sure. Every single day I would get no likes, no views, 13 likes, two likes, 6 likes.
Yeah.
And my cousin Nino would be like, dude, I don't even know why you're posting. Like nobody's like, you're not getting there. And I'm like, I don't care. I will get there.
Yeah.
Like I will die trying.
Yeah.
Or that's it. It will happen. You just have to believe it'll happen. So I'm like, I have something. I'm going to outwork everybody. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm just going to have to be consistent. So I kept going every single day. 3 years, nothing. Like nothing. Maybe I gained 1,000 followers. I had 2,000 followers like a year and a half ago. 2,000. Actually, this is funny you say that. Yeah, there actually is a really good story for this. So I'm posting, and someone's like, why don't you try going outside? Don't do it inside, like on a chair with a podcast mic. Go outside. I'm like, dude, that's uncomfortable for me. Like there's different layers of like content. Like me going like this is easy. Looking at that camera is a little bit more nerve-wracking. Even now, when I go look at that camera and I can't see myself and I'm recording a YouTube video, I'm like, this is weird. Go walk outside in the middle of the design district when everyone's looking at you with a camera on you.
Right,
So I'm like, if I can do this, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to look weird. I'm going to be awkward. It's going to feel uncomfortable. But if I do it now at 22, by the time I'm 25, 26, like I would have already gone through that phase. So when I first moved here, I'm like, all right, be prepared to look like an idiot. Just keep posting, keep doing it. You're going to get better. You're going to get more fluent, more comfortable. And then I kept trying different styles of content to see what would hit. And I actually went through like a bad breakup like 3 years ago, and I started talking about it on TikTok, and it went viral. Like millions of views a month. Millions talking about red flags and lying and this, that, and how to get over a breakup. And like dude, it was nuts. Like I didn't know how to handle myself.
So is your next coaching program going to be a relationship program?
I told her all the time, like people love her. If we go live, like they don't even see me. It's just Shayna. So dude, I'm like, I made a video. I'm like, because my girlfriend's like, at the time was like, yeah, I'm going on this boat. Like we're not even going to go anywhere. We're just sitting on the boat. I'm like, okay, I follow you and all of your friends. You guys all said you're going on a boat. Not one of you posted a story. So you're lying. That's a red flag. No way in today's day and age a girl's not posting. 4 girls. No way. That's line number 1. Line number 2, she's like, well, we actually are on the water, but it's just us. I go, so there's no guy, captain? You guys are telling me you're going to park the boat. You're going to dock it. I don't even know how to drive a boat. Red flag number 2. And then there was another one, and I'm like, red flag number 3. And dude, I got like 3 million views on this video. I woke up the next day, Shane, I felt like I was like a celebrity. I'm like, dude, I have 58 DMs on my Instagram. All these girls were like, you're such a gentleman. I'm like, this is how you take a girl on a date. You make sure you walk on the outside of the road. You keep her on the inside. Like, if your girl's sick, you buy her the pharmacy. You don't even ask. You buy her the pharmacy.
Love that.
Dude, these girls would DM me every day. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is crazy. And I feel like the girl getting all the attention.
So good.
So all those followers went from TikTok to Instagram. So everybody at the time thought they were my Instagram, like real estate followers, but they're really like relationship. Dude, I brought my coaching back. I did like 10 grand that month in real estate from relationship rants.
Amazing.
And then I obviously moved on, but I kept talking about it because it kept going viral. But then I'm like, dude, I'm running out of stories, and I don't care. I truthfully don't care at all anymore.
Yeah.
I gained 85,000 followers on TikTok. I gained about 8 on Instagram. And then because of networking and other business ventures and cold calling, I met a guy named Darren Glover who works for Gary Vee. He was like, why don't you live cold call? Like, why don't you just Twitch it, go on TikTok?
By the way, a lot of people know you for your cold calling.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that one conversation changed the trajectory of how you manage your social.
My whole life changed from last year. My whole life changed from last year. I said, I watched a Patrick and David Grant Cardone video about like no girls for a year. And that didn't quite happen exactly because I wouldn't have met Shayna, but I really honestly can tell you, I can count on one hand how many dates or like times I went out last year. I did nothing but self-development, workout, cold call, that's it. 7 days a week, bleeding from my eyes, burning out, going crazy. But I'm like, you're doing it. We're not doing 100, we're not doing 200 grand. You are done being at where you're at. You wrote on your goals before you moved to Miami by 25, you're going to make $500,000 a year, and you're not there yet. You're doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I started cold calling live every day at 7 a.m. I'd bring like 3 different devices with me. I'd go TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, 1,000 people calling me. Everyone says, all these Instagram guys and gurus are all, they're fake. I'm like, watch, let me put if I stumble one cold call live in front of 1,000 people, I'm done. $2.5 million listing, $3 million listing, 2 million, 1 million, 1.5 listing after listing after listing. And the people saw me live. They would hear I'm talking about Fort Lauderdale, and then they would see a Fort Lauderdale graphic go up on Instagram next week. So they knew it was legit.
Fantastic.
I brought my coaching back because it's been around for 3 years, but it kind of died down. I brought my coaching back live on TikTok. I'm like, yeah, guys, if you want, I'll coach you. It's $7.97. 7 people bought in like 10 seconds. I'm like, I'm back. Like, it's July. I am back. I'm not doing anything summer. Dude, I haven't celebrated summer or New Year's, nothing. 4 years. I don't care. I'm like, all right, we're going to keep going. The coaching keeps picking up. I do a Black Friday sale. We have a record-breaking month. I hire my first guy. December goes crazy. I meet her in December. January just lights out. And, I mean, everything, including real estate, I sold $10 million in real estate by, like, April of this year. And I'm really more full-time with the coaching and everything else. So I didn't care. I was consistent. I tried different things. And I came from emotion, like the breakup, right? Anytime I feel emotional, I'm aggressive. Like, some coaching client just told me that they don't feel like it's working. You're fucking lazy. So I'll grab the camera and be like, you guys expect the world to fall on your lap when you don't do anything. Boom, post. That will engage better than me sitting, hey guys, my name's Anthony, and if you want to scale your real estate business, because that's scripted, that's Hollywood production.
Right.
Raw, authentic, high energy when it's real, that is like, okay, dude, this guy's fucking passionate. That's my, and you're the same way. That's why it's not hard for me to watch you. There's certain people when they're talking, I'm like, and the video, please.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I got one last one for you.
Please.
That was amazing.
You're amazing.
That was amazing.
No, you're amazing, Shane.
What is your impact? You're an 89-year-old guy at this point. Hopefully you don't get grays. Hopefully your skin is just as nice as it is right now, and you got that cut, and the fade, and you're in shape, but you're 80, 90. Little, a couple wrinkles here and there. What type of impact are you trying to have on this planet? Because there's a few people that have your type of energy that are on a daily basis pushing and punching the wall every day consistently, every minute of the day. You bring a special type of energy to this world. So I know it's going to compound to something magnificent. Fast forward, you're 80, 90. Take us through the story. What are you trying to accomplish? Have you thought about the impact that you want? Do you want to get on stages? Do you want to speak in front of people? Take us through the life. What's the mission here for Nucci, if we can look back on it and see decades and decades of performance?
I want to be like one of the main reasons that people think bigger, succeed, and break like any negative thoughts that they were taught growing up. And I don't want to keep bringing him up, but like Cardone did that for me. If hearing how he was a drug addict till 25 years old, from going to buy a real estate deal, saving enough money in 4 or 5 years to go buy a real estate deal and flipping that and parlaying it and going to make $1 million, $2, $3 million a year, and then at 50 years old, like you said, go and become this icon, real estate mogul, training sensation. I'm like, dude, if I can start at 23 years old with him and all these other people that we have access to because of the internet, what can I do? Completely. Anything's possible. When you really think about it, it's like Jeff Bezos wasn't born to be. Look at him when he started. He was in the garage, scrawny, with the little spray painted Amazon logo. I want everyone to know, like, you were in sales and real estate. I took Nucci's course. He taught me how to overcome objections. He taught me social media. He taught me mindset. And because of him, I was able to mentally just get all the roadblocks out of the way. And acquire the skill I need to go make whatever money they want to make, right? Because not everyone needs to make $1 million. Maybe a few people want to make a couple $100,000 a year, but I want to be able to change 1 million real estate agents' lives or salespeople's lives throughout my career and be the legacy. Like this guy was the reason I woke up in the morning. He fired me up. I wanted to set him as an alarm clock.
Impact.
Impact.
Just impacting people. That's beautiful.
Yeah. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, it would have been money, but now it's impact. I appreciate you.
This was incredible.
Next time it's him, I got to host you because we need to get deeper into your story.
We'll do it, but that was really special.
Thank you.
You just lit a lot of people up, including myself. So that was
Are you fired up?
I'm fired up.
I'm ready to get after it too.
Awesome, man.
I need a fucking new car.
Thank you so much for your
car
time.
now.